Hi, I'm Heather. Welcome to class. Today we're going to work on variations of Uttanasana, which translates as the intense stretch pose. Before we begin, if you find this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe. Hit the bell so you're notified when a new video is available. We're going to start using the wall, and we'll be doing a variation that's often known as box pose because we're creating a box-like shape with the wall, the floor, and our body. So if we step in close to the wall, place your palms on the wall about the level of your waist, shoulder width apart hands, and then walk back, arms straight, legs straight, so that you feel you're creating one long line from your hands through your shoulders to your hips, and then another long line from your hips to your ankles. See that you bring your ankles vertically under your hips. Try not to have the feet too far back, too far forward. And then observe that we're wanting to flex here at the hips, roll the pelvis forward to get the lift through the sitting bones. The hamstring muscles, the muscles on the back of the thighs, are attached to the sitting bones, and as we lift the sitting bones, we bring in a lengthening to the hamstrings, but we also bring the spine more and more into that parallel line to the floor, which is what we're looking for. Now, those who are supple can sometimes overdo. Sometimes we see this collapsing down. It's an over rotation of the pelvis, and the lumbar spine digs in. We want to correct that tendency to overdo by slightly drawing the sit bones back down to the heels and engaging the navel to the spine. So then, if we place our hands across this lumbar region, the spine is long and broad. Push the hands into the wall to get that sense of activating the arms, pushing away from the wall, and press the head of the thighs back. Head of the thighs press back away from the wall to encourage length in your waist. Not only that, as you press the head of the thighs back, we're activating the grip of the kneecaps and the quadriceps. Keep your ears in line with the upper arms and roll the outer upper arms, the tricep muscles, down. Keep the thoracic spine in by drawing the upper sternum forward towards the wall. Then to come out of the pose, look forward, bend your knees, step 1 foot forward, and come to stand up. Now that same variation, Ardha Uttanasana, half intense stretch pose, which is, as I said, referred to as box pose, can also be done using a chair. We'll do 2 variations using the chair now. Same idea, Ardha Uttanasana, which means half intense stretch pose. And again, we could refer to this as box pose because once more we have the spine and the arms parallel to the floor and the legs perpendicular to the floor. Let's do the first variation by holding the top of the chair and walking the legs back. And if you do feel stiff in the back of the legs, take your feet as wide as the mat. Again, do your best to align the ankles vertically under the hip sockets and draw the upper chest forward, upper sternum forward to help move this thoracic spine in. We don't want any bulging of the back. Can you draw the upper sternum forward and then retreat the navel up and back towards the spine, ensuring that your lumbar spine is long and broad. Go on pressing the head of the thighs back so that you activate the grip of the kneecaps, the muscles on the front thighs, but also so that you are lengthening the waist. Feel that as you press the head of the thighs back, the pelvis can move back away from the rib cage, waist elongating. Now to come out of the pose, look forward, bend your knees, step 1 foot forward and come to stand up. Now, the next way of using the chair in that posture is to step your feet to the front legs of the chair. Again, we're holding the top of the chair, and as we exhale, we can tilt the chair onto its back legs, roll the pelvis forward so we get that predominant hinging movement in the hips. Once more, you're challenging the length of the hamstrings by drawing the sit bones up. Move the upper sternum forward towards the hands, and then the head can come down. Perhaps your forehead can reach to the seat of the chair. Go on lifting the kneecaps, activating the quadricep muscles on the front thighs. Press the head of the thighs back and draw the thoracic spine in as you lengthen the breastbone forward. Then to come out of the pose, raise the head up, you look forward to the hands, lift the torso up to replace all 4 legs of the chair down, and then we're standing. Now the next variation, we'll utilize 2 bricks, and if we start with them standing tall, about shoulder width apart, and set your feet again, whether you're feeling stiff or you're feeling reasonably supple, you can decide how wide do you want the feet. Hip width apart is good. If you feel stiff, perhaps take your feet as wide as the mat. So this idea of hinging forward at the hips, let's place the hands on the top of the pelvis. Inhale, exhale, now hinge forward, roll the pelvis forward over the thigh bones. Bring your spine more and more parallel to the floor and reach your hands to your bricks. If it's difficult to reach, then perhaps we need to place the hands on more height, like a chair seat. But once you have your hands here, can you assess, are the wrists vertically under the shoulders? And are the ankles vertically under the hips? Try not to lean so much into the hands that if you were to take your hands off your bricks, you would fall flat on your face. Can you set your weight so it's predominant in the legs, but not so much that you're creating a diagonal line with the legs? Bring the weight into the balls of the feet, not just the heels. Upper breastbone forward and draw the outer shoulders back towards your hips. As the upper breastbone moves forward, the thoracic spine can move in. Again, we're looking at maintaining the length on the front body. Can you keep the abdomen long? So from the breastbone to the navel, navel to the pubis, we're long on the front body. Then if you feel you can go further, you can lower your bricks to the blade shape. And again, draw the upper sternum forward, outer shoulders back. So watch your shoulders aren't pulling up into the neck. Outer shoulders draw back towards the hips. Then further still, if you can reach further, whether you choose to flatten the blocks or reach fingertips to the floor. So we're creating little cup shapes with the hands as the fingertips reach the floor, and still we're lengthening the front body. Draw the upper breastbone forward and press the outer shoulders back towards your hips. And once more, notice, are you tending to lean back heavily into the heels? Or are you leaning so heavily into the hands that you're potentially going to fall forward onto your face if I asked you to take your hands off the floor? Find that even place. Heels, balls of the feet, toe pads, and fingertips. Now, to come out of the pose, place your hands on the waist, roll the shoulder tips back, the head's lifted a little higher than the level of the heart, and we'll inhale, stand all the way up. So one of the reasons we might stand up that way, keeping the knees straight and raising the head, raising the spine, is to strengthen our spinal muscles. But also, when we raise the head up a little higher than the heart, We're allowing any blood that has come into the head, because we're starting to go a little bit upside down, to drain back to the heart. And then as we stand, we're less likely to feel dizzy. Now, if we're at that stage that we're able to reach the fingertips to the floor, we're going to see if we can go a little further, a little deeper. Again, let's step the feet, whether they're hip width apart or a little wider, the width of the mat, I'll let you decide. But can you fan the toes? As you spread the little toes, we're engaging and keeping the outer hips in. Make sure that you're not turning your feet out or in. Track your feet parallel to each other. That parallel line, we can draw a line from the middle of the ankle to that second toe. Those two lines parallel to each other. Place your hands on the top of the pelvis. Inhale. Exhale. Hinge forward at the hips. Draw the sternum forward. So we're staying long on the front body as we come forward and down. Fingertips to the floor under the shoulders. And again, just watch that you're not leaning heavily back into the heels and creating that diagonal line. Can you keep your hips, hip sockets vertically top the ankles? Then if you can go further, reach your fingertips out onto the floor on either sides of your mat. Bend the elbows and watch your shoulders don't creep into your neck. Keep your shoulders rolling away from the neck as the head starts to lengthen down towards the floor. Now, all the while we're gripping the kneecaps, maintaining the activation of the quadriceps. And notice as we go deeper, there may be an inclination to grip and harden the abdomen, and often then it pushes out towards the thighs. When we grip and harden the abdomen, it's more likely that we're going to put strain on the back. So see, can you let go any gripping, contraction, and lengthen the sternum away from the navel, even though you're moving down into a forward bend. Then feed the upper arm bones back into the shoulder joint. Engage the shoulder blades onto the back. Ride the lower shoulder blade up towards your hips. And lengthen the base of the skull down towards the floor. Smooth, steady breathing. Quieten your eyes. Now slowly raise the head up, hands to the waist, and keep raising the head up as you bring your spine more and more parallel to the floor. So we reach this point where the head is a little higher than the heart. We feel the blood drain from the head back to the heart. Inhale, stand all the way up. Lengthen the tailbone down. Now, sometimes we will use a variation of Uttanasana as a resting pose, and we could make it as simple as our forward fold here and catching the elbows, draping the arms down. We might do this as a moment of reprieve in between some strong standing poses. We're allowing the head and the heart to rest. And other times, if we're wanting to be more restorative, we may use a chair. So we may have a chair, perhaps even a bolster on top of the chair. We can cross the forearms there and rest the head down. Forehead resting on the forearms, potentially stretching the arms through, resting the forehead on the bolster. And then as we come out of the pose, we press the hands to the bolster or the chair seat and come to stand up. So as we progress further with that Uttanasana, the intense stretch pose, we can bring the legs together. Inner feet together. Again, fan the toes out. Do your best to keep the big toes touching, ankle bones touching, and spread all the toes, particularly try and get the little toes out wide and suck the outer hips in. Now we'll be folding forward and we're going to catch behind the ankles and the heels. Hands on the top of the pelvis, so the hands are sitting into the waist. Inhale. Exhale, fold forward and down. Fingertips to the floor to start. start by lengthening the front body. So it's often a good idea when you're doing Uttanasana to start in what we might call the intermediate stage, so that you're drawing the breastbone forward, maintaining length on the front body. Then can you keep the navel retreating back towards the spine as we go deeper? Walk your hands back, but don't drag your hips back. Can you keep weight in the balls of the feet? And as you go deeper, the abdomen can lengthen along the thighs. And if you do feel stiff, you're welcome to try with the knees a little bent. Feel, can you create that closure between the ribs and the thighs? But if you're supple enough, do your best to straighten the knees, grip the kneecaps, catch behind the ankles, the heels, and pull to draw yourself deeply into Uttanasana. So as we pull, the shoulders may want to pull into the neck. Can you restrain the shoulders away from the neck? Bring your forehead towards your shins. And then notice, is the abdomen gripping? It may well be, but if you can take a couple of breaths, can you release that strong grip of the abdomen? Draw the shoulder blades up the back towards your hips. Now, raise the head, look forward, come back onto the fingertips. We're going to try another deep variation of Uttanasana. This time we walk the hands back alongside the feet, maybe even further back if you can manage, and we're going to draw the heels of the hands to the floor. Inhale, front body long, sternum forward. Exhale, fold down. Press the heels of the hands down to the floor and forehead towards your shins. Breathe. Draw your shoulder blades up the back. Lengthen the armpit chest down. Then slowly look forward, come forward onto the fingertips, raise the head up, hands to the waist. Inhale, stand all the way up, tailbone down, front pelvic bones up. Now, there are a couple of really interesting ways to work with a chair as we go into a deep Uttanasana, which I'll share with you. If we stand the heels in line with the front legs of the chair so that the back of the legs are pressing into the chair seat. So as you're ready, come forward and take your hands back towards the chair legs. Make sure your knees can straighten. Do your best to straighten the knees. And as you reach your hands to the chair legs, start by lengthening the front body. Sternum forward, away from the navel. Then if you're able to go deeper, you can pull on the chair legs to draw yourself deeply into a forward bend. Walk your hands to the back legs of the chair and then draw them down. Walk your hands down as you draw down into the legs, but resist the legs back to the chair. You'll note I've got my feet apart for this. As you resist the legs back to the chair, you're keeping the knees firm and straight, and roll the shoulders up the back. Soften your eyes, relax your jaw. And then to come out of the pose, we release the grip of the chair legs and let's bend the knees. Sit down, have a moment of reprieve. Now the final variation I will show you is standing on a chair to forward bend. So clearly we've got to feel safe about doing that, and if you don't, then don't do it. Stand up on your chair and turn so that your feet are in line with the outer edges of the chair, and you'll note initially I'm holding the back of the chair. I'm drawing the breastbone forward. Front body is long, so breastbone forward away from the navel and the navel forward away from the pubis. Then as I intend to go deeper, I'm going to take my hands down to the front of the chair seat. We can start with that and pull. As you pull on the front of the chair seat, draw yourself down. And if you wish to go further, you can try walking your hands down the legs of the chair. Keep going deeper and deeper. Remember, the predominant flexion's in our hips. The secondary flexion is in our spine. Draw yourself down. Front body stays long. So still the breastbone is lengthening away from the navel. Retreat the navel back towards the spine. Roll the shoulders away from the neck. So the outer upper arms roll back towards the outer shins. Relax your jaw and soften the inside of the mouth. So even though the legs are working, there's a strong sensation in the legs as we're stretching. Can we diminish any tension? Now to come out of the pose, slowly raise the head up, release your grip, bend your knees carefully, and let's step down off the chair and have a moment of just sitting and resting. That's it for today. Thanks for joining me. For more in-depth teaching, check out the video library on my website, heatherkitchenyoga.com.au. The link is in the description box below.